To conclude, 2 minutes remaining.
Well, again, I want to thank the members who've raised this issue for raising it. Just let me say, in relation to the people who have been working in Cleary's, many of them all their lives, whole families, connected families, working there. As one group of people whom I met this morning said of a man with more than 40 years service, that in fact Cleary's was his family. And I think all of us can appreciate the level of commitment that's been put in. So I actually want to say of the people who worked at Cleary's, the people who are ashamed and disgraced by this are the people who took part in the arrangements to do this, not the workers in Cleary's. I think respect for them, if I may say this to the deputies, is exceptionally high among the people of Dublin and the people of Ireland. But we seem to have a set of people, business people, and, you know, there are lots of very good employers in this country who must be appalled at what has happened to a group of workers in an entirely undeserved way. Because remember, as well as the work that the unions have done, a huge amount of positive contact in Ireland between trade unions and employers' organisations to ensure that we have in this country a level of decency and a level of regulation which gives workers decent terms and conditions. And in fact, we're going further on that. We have before the Dáil at the moment legislation in relation to collective bargaining, which the trade unions have looked for over many decades, and which I'm confident most of the members and the parties in this House will support. But I think the people who have to be ashamed of themselves are the people who set out to approach this in a particular technical way. We don't yet know the full details. We have seen some descriptions in the newspapers of various stratagems that were employed. And as I said, we will be looking at all of that. I'm sure so will, I know my colleague Minister Jad Nash will be. I'm sure Minister Richard Bruton will be extremely concerned that the legislation of his department could be used in this way to circumvent people's genuine rights that they've contributed to. And also, I'm concerned, as the Minister for Social Protection, for the implications of this in relation to the Social Insurance Fund, to which everybody who pays PRSI contributes, so that it's there for people when they need it. So I want to say that we're going to look at, and the Department of Jobs and Enterprise has committed to this as well, to examine whether all the aspects of the relevant legislation have been complied with, and whether that legislation needs to be strengthened. I also want to say as well, in respect to what Deputy Costello was saying, that we don't want to see this happening again, and we'll have to examine what happened here. There is a situation, for instance, in taxation, where you can have over-aggressive tax planning. I heard the suggestion that this may have been arranged, perhaps in secret, probably almost certainly in secret, over a number of months. I don't know yet, deputies, as to whether or not that's correct. We just simply have an amount of information. But we do know informally, my department today, from the mediators, that all staff have been made redundant, and that P45s will issue this week. And for those of you who've had some involvement in labour law and this type of situation will know that that initial information allows for the issuing of the redundancy notices, all of which are in a process in terms of the legislation in the Department of Jobs and Enterprise.
Thank you.
I will undertake that all of the matters will be addressed as quickly as is possible in accordance with the law. And it is now possible, with all the reforms we've made in the Intrio system, to pay people relatively quickly. And as I said, we can do that. It wasn't always possible. Now it is possible with the new systems to do that. And that's what I would hope the Department will be able to do over the next few days. And we will also liaise closely, because we pay out the redundancy payments. Somebody referenced Vita Cortex as a case, and some other cases. In the case of Vita Cortex, the Department of Social Protection, once we got the information and once the relevant requirements had been complied with, we were in fact able to pay the workers within a very short period of time. And hopefully, if we can get the different requirements met as quickly as possible, we can also make arrangements to meet the entitlements of the workers
Thank you,
on the
Taoiseach.
redundancy side as well as quickly as possible.
Good morning.